Suck me in small, breathe me in and let me go. Filling the lungs inside you, and the blackened eyes make my way into your mind. Just to know what you knew. Restless every time we start locking eyes. Lost control. Oh, it's paradise with honesty, but I'm in the dead of the night. Let the darkness take control. Let the darkness take control. Darkness take control. May the darkness take control. Suck me in smoke, breathe me in and let me go. Sink to your heart to find you. Open up your eyes till you're blinded by the lies, so you can see what you do. Restless every time we start locking eyes. Lost control. Oh, it's paradise with honesty, but I'm in the dead of the night. Teardrops on the floor. The pain is over. Feel the darkness take control.
Welcome to the DO Boxing Show. I'm your host, Dameon Okposio. Thanks for tuning in to another episode. In this episode, we're going to be talking about Below the Belt Boxing Magazine, and not only the fact that we've been around for 20 years, but where does the magazine stand right now? When it comes to small business, especially in magazine business, the dynamics can change in a million ways as you're running along. But first, let me give you some history on the magazine. Even though I've done a couple of videos already, for those that haven't seen those ones, let me just give you a little bit of the origin story of the magazine. So I came up with the idea for Below the Belt Boxing Magazine, but never actually formulated the magazine company to start until January 1999. At that point, I used all my savings to create the magazine, and I brought it out shortly after the Shaw Festival that year. So I think the magazine was printed and distributed sometime in around May, I believe. The first issue featured Fitz Vanderpool on the cover. I'm just seeing if I had actually an issue here. And I do have a copy. This is the very first issue of the boxing magazine that came out, and it had numerous articles on like the Shaw Festival featured a lot of fighters, puzzles, listings of the boxing clubs, which I've mentioned in the past before, and of course Fitz Vanderpool on the cover is about 56 pages. We were black and white for a long time, and oops, I tried to get a lot of various types of advertising for the magazine, and it was very sporadic, but I was able to make the magazine come out, and we tried to stick to our quarterly schedule. 2008, all the advertising dried up basically, and I stopped the magazine for a very short period of time, and just tried to think about, you know, whether or not to start the magazine up. In that time frame, no other magazines had really developed or started to go on from that point, and I thought, you know what, maybe I might bring it back. When I started getting a lot of responses and requests from regular readers that used to subscribe to the magazine, I thought, okay, I will bring it back. And the magazine returned in 2013 in full color. So what I did in order to make the actual magazine happen and actually raise the quality is I started charging for the content of the magazine and not just advertisement. So in these magazines that came after 2013, you'll notice that there is some advertisement that was paid in it, but like the cover for this issue, I was managing Collado Bocce at the time, and that's why I had an opportunity to be on the cover. But after that, I was charging for the content. You want to be on the cover, you pay for it. You want to be in the magazine, you want an article written, and you know, I would write the article, get photos taken, take care of that aspect for whomever it was, but allow people to use the magazine as a tool. And I found that to be the best way, because I was able to now reinvest that money into the magazine and make the magazine a higher quality magazine. I settled on 24 pages as the number of pages to keep consistent with the magazine, and then we've been going strong ever since that time. I don't necessarily stick to the quarterly schedule. I put the magazine out when the advertising or the timing of it coming out makes sense. And when I say the timing of it, that means, is there some event that I can pair the magazine with to give it the best opportunity for the maximum exposure? So I used to have a contract with Chapters and Indigo. Every Chapters and Indigo store in Canada, I had a distribution agreement with them where they would carry the magazine. I stopped that distribution agreement in 2016, and just the finances and the economics of it, to me, wasn't the most ideal for my company anymore, and I decided I would do all of the distribution myself. So from that point on, anytime somebody wanted to purchase a magazine, they could either purchase it at one of my events or contact me through my website or Facebook, and then they can get the magazine. $5 for the magazine and $2 for postage. So it essentially cost them $7 every time they wanted to order a magazine, and they could order as many as they wanted. I generally print 1,000 copies because I know that that's around the number of magazines that I'm very close to selling. So I sell about 80 to 95% of the magazines that I print. The magazines cost me roughly about $7 a magazine when it comes to the printing, design, photography, and you know, different things I have to pay for that pertain to the magazine. So if I'm doing 1,000 copies, it's easy to do the math on that. Because I wasn't sticking to the quarterly distribution cycle that I used to when I had the magazine in the first half of its development, I created the DO Boxing newsletter. And the DO Boxing newsletter is done on a regular 100-pound glossy regular paper, and it still features great design, great stories about the fight game, focuses a lot on local fighters, but it's free. So it's not usually as big. It can range from anywhere from 8 to 16 pages. It's not as big as Below the Belt Boxing magazine, but it still carries boxing information. It still has original stories in there, and it kind of bridges the gap between Below the Belt Boxing magazine coming out and me still publishing boxing content for people that are out there. People can still go on the Below the Belt Facebook page to get information, and they can go on to my website to get contact information or to get base information about the companies and the different things that I do. So the newsletter also provides a very cheap alternative for advertising. So my advertising rates are often listed. My advertising rates for Below the Belt Boxing Magazine have not changed in 6 years, and I don't see any need to even raise the prices, because I think they're fair for the type of magazine that it is and the distribution that we do have. Actually, I think it's more than fair. I think people get a tremendous value. But this is an even cheaper alternative. It's just simply $100 for a full page, and anybody can profile themselves. Again, we do charge for the content, but where this gets distributed is anywhere that I go to. So whether it's amateur shows or fight cards, professional fight cards, sometimes people will see me or have received a copy through one of those avenues. Sometimes when I travel to the boxing clubs as well, I'll hand them out, and then I hand them out until I don't have them anymore. Where it comes to the current issue of Below the Belt Boxing Magazine, which I'm working on, which is issue number 36, I've been advertising it for a while, for the better part of this year. And as I said before in previous videos, the majority of the magazine is actually done. You're going to see a lot of these articles in the actual magazine when the magazine is printed. But I did have to do some rewrites. I had to pull some articles out of there that are no longer relevant. And, you know, for this particular issue that's going to be coming up, I want to thank Dameon Okposio for the advertising and assistance that he's brought to the magazine to help me get this particular issue out. And thanks, of course, to my team, who's done a great job in terms of design and you know, just putting everything together. So the magazine, again, is going to be put together. It's going to be released very shortly. I don't like to put a timeline on it because this one has been difficult to bring out just because of the content constantly changing. But the money's already set aside to print it, and it should be finished relatively shortly in the next few weeks, and you'll see it out. I'm excited about issue number 37, which I've started working on as well. Issue number 37 is going to feature a female amateur boxer on the cover, and I'm looking forward to getting that magazine done. In the future, the magazine is going to be featuring a lot on the events that I have promoted, whether it be the fundraising events or the annual boxing trade show and induction ceremony that has now become basically the flagship event that I do every year. And then aside from that, anybody that wants to utilize the magazine to promote any fighters or business that they have in boxing or in the fight game is welcome to contact me and find out from what my ad rates are and put something together. So again, you know, sometimes people have asked me about schedules. I try my best to explain that that's how the magazine comes out. Basically, it's based on advertising, and I'm really excited about how things are going for the magazine right now, because for the readers, they're always anticipating it coming out because it doesn't come out that regularly. So my sales have been really great in the last couple of issues, which I really appreciate. Thank you so much to the longtime readers of Below the Belt Boxing Magazine. I have to send a special shout out to a subscriber who was subscribed to Below the Belt Boxing Magazine for over a decade, Donald Booth. He recently sent me this book as a gift as well. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. It's going to go in my boxing library, and I'm going to get into it as soon as I can. Anytime I have some extra time, I'm definitely going to be delving into that book. And I appreciate all the readers of Below the Belt Boxing Magazine. The magazine has become the ultimate business card for me, because as soon as you hand it to someone, they can tell, especially if they've been in the advertising or printing business, they know the quality, they know how much it costs to make you know, a piece of literature like that. They know what the costs are involved in terms of getting the raw material and putting it together, and the designer from the work that the design work and stuff like that they can see. So they know what's being spent on it, and it immediately puts me in a different category when I go and speak to people For the people that are featured inside the magazine, it's a great business card for them as well too, because it lets them know that they are the legitimate people within the boxing industry. You know, when you show up and you have your own book, your own magazine, something with you in print, it shows that you are serious about what you do and that people in the sport have acknowledged you as being someone serious in the sport as well. Am I saying that as an advertisement for the Below the Belt Boxing Magazine? 100%. Of course I want fighters' businesses and I want people to deal with the magazine, but at the same time, you know what, my magazine is not going to be everybody's cup of tea. The main point I'm trying to make is that you have to invest in yourself if you want to grow your brand, and growing your brand equals money in your pocket in the long term. So people are not going to come out to see you and support you if they don't know who you are. You're going to only have your close-knit friends and family that are going to be helping to support you. And for those fighters that are selling tickets for their fights, there may come a point where you start exhausting that resource that you have. What you should be doing is building out your resource and letting other people out there know what you do, who you are, what your personality is like, and you should be building up a portfolio, building up a brand, which is easy to do with social media nowadays because it's free. And you know, in that case, you can build out your impact that you can have, and that of course is going to affect your pocketbook. That's what people get paid for. They get paid for the eyes that they can draw to something, the amount of attention that they have. So if you're looking for another avenue and you choose Below the Belt Boxing Magazine, I can tell you that my prices are fair. They're firm, but they're fair. And you know, I try and provide tremendous value to anybody that does business with me. You're going to see in an upcoming issue that what I'm saying is going to be put to some practical use, because you know, wins and losses are not the most important thing to me. I'm not looking for an undefeated person to work with. What I'm looking for is people with good character, that are reliable, that do what they say, and those are the kind of people that I like to work with, that I like to get behind and support, and you'll see that. Thanks so much for watching this issue. Thanks so much if you've supported or purchased Below the Belt Boxing magazines in the past. We're going to be here for a long time. We're still figuring out how things are going to go and what direction we're going to take, but we're going to continue on with Canadian content. We're going to continue on in promoting the people that we stand behind in the sport of boxing, and we're going to continue to try and give you the best quality product that we can afford. Thanks so much for tuning into this episode. And remember, if you have any questions related to boxing, send us a message through Twitter at DOKPOSIO, through email okposio@hotmail.com, and don't forget to subscribe to get every episode of the DO Boxing Show. Having over 700 episodes now, we're very proud of that as well, and we want to be bringing you more boxing content way into the future. Thanks so much for tuning into this episode, and we'll catch you on the next one.